Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Monday, December 23rd, 2019, and today we're going to be taking a look at the approval rating by state for President Donald Trump at the end of the 2019 year. So on your screen right now, pretty much we're going to be taking a look at where President Trump looks in each of these states. I know it says November 2019. There is no December data yet, which we will likely get in January. So just for the sake of this video coming out before the new year, I decided to roll with this data. And to be completely honest, not much has changed since then. So morning consult, when compared to the rest of the bunch, pretty much goes about average. The overall net spread is negative 7.3 for President Trump nationwide. That's pretty much just how it's gone. I think the last morning consult poll that was done nationwide, I don't know the exact numbers. Usually they would have it up here, but I guess this is state by state, so it wouldn't make too much sense to only focus on the national numbers. But overall, the net average right now is 7.3% in the negative for President Trump, which is a 44.6 approve, 51.9 disapprove. So not the worst. He's definitely been at much lower points, but it ranges all the way from -2 all the way to -15 from Politico. So let's go ahead and start pretty much just taking a look at where we started off. So in comparison, let's take a look at exactly 1 year ago in terms of data, November 2018, which was actually a pretty interesting time. If you take a look, pretty much the same states that we see disapproving of President Trump in general. If you take a look, it definitely gets a little bit more green in November. In fact, a year before that, it was actually a little bit worse for President Trump. So it really all depends on where the general trend is for the country. Obviously, when he first started out in his administration, had a very, very good approval rating throughout the entire country. It only slowly started to wither away once we started hitting the first early months in the country, and that really did not end up well for him. Probably his lowest year was 2017, and then 2018, generally the same states stayed disapproving of President Trump. But this year, leading into the 2020 election, this is the final full year we will see before the actual November election. So, in fact, we'll be able to compare this when it hits November 20, which will actually impact the president directly, as it will be his election. So let's take a look at some of the states that disapprove of President Trump. Some of these states obviously are instant. Yes, I completely understand why they don't approve of the president. They didn't vote for him. They didn't do well for him in the 2018 midterms. There's a very clear reason as to why. But some of these may come as a shock. So I know you see it on your screen right now, but there are definitely states out here that overwhelmingly voted for President Trump back in 2016. And if you look, had overwhelming support for President Trump back in 2017. That was when he had his entire base. If you look for reference, Nebraska 23, Mississippi 34, Wyoming 40. Well, take a look now, and the numbers are not as good. So actually, I think the lowest point for, okay, that was weird when it just dipped down for Wyoming. I think Wyoming was pretty strong for, 22, whatever. The strongest it was is actually a pretty good number right now, 35 for President Trump, but let's take a look at some of these other states. So again, the states that I said make sense, states like Vermont, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Delaware, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New Hampshire. Even though this one is a swing state, this is definitely not going to do well for him in 2020 if these numbers hold. And again, approval ratings are not everything. President Trump definitely did well if you take a look in 2018 in some states that may not have approved of him too much. Florida actually had a net approval rating of 2%, and that's enough, I guess, to win him a Senate race there, or the GOP a Senate race there. Looking at some of these other states, it definitely wasn't a good look in states like Arizona, where they lost the Senate race there. But it has gotten worse in some of these states for President Trump. Now, I'll say that, or minimally improved for President Trump as well. But again, like I said, the states in the Northeast definitely make sense. Maine is -14. That's an area where he won in the 2nd district right up here. So maybe that's not the part that's being polled right now. You never know. But moving across, we really need to focus on these Rust Belt states, because -7 in Pennsylvania, -14 in Wisconsin, -14 in Michigan, definitely not a good look. President Trump needs these states to win. Without those 3 states in 2016, he would have lost the election, period. But if he's able to hold on to them in 2020, puts his chances a lot higher at winning, because Arizona might flip, but even with winning these 3 states, he could still win. He could also afford to lose Pennsylvania based off the 2016 map, but he generally will need all 3 of these states, considering that a couple of other states are definitely moving over into the purple, lean blue column. But right now, it doesn't even look like he's going to get these 3 states. Minnesota is actually more approving of the president than Wisconsin and Michigan, even though Hillary Clinton won the state of Minnesota in 2016. Illinois, Iowa is negative 13. This is an area where Trump won by near double digits, nearing 10% in 2016. And it makes sense just based off President Trump's economic policies. A lot of what he's doing doesn't directly impact positively, I guess, rural areas such as Iowa or Illinois or Indiana. And I definitely see why a lot of these older Obama voters that voted for Trump in 2016 might be flipping back. If you remember back in 2008, Obama won Indiana. He did not win in 2012. Hillary Clinton did not win it in 2016. That was a one-time thing, and that actually might be a possibility for some of these Rust Belt states. First time flipping in almost 3 decades, may not flip again for the GOP in a while if President Trump leaves a bad taste in their mouths for the GOP. Indiana is a narrow approval. Kentucky, Tennessee, pretty much the southern states are holding well for President Trump. 7, 8, Arkansas, 7 in South Carolina, but Georgia is negative 3. Definitely not a good look. Virginia is negative 7. Ohio is negative 5. Again, these are areas that President Trump is going to need to do well in. He can afford to lose Virginia. He can afford to lose North Carolina and Ohio and Georgia. And if those states are going, a number of other states are going definitely as well. But he is approved of in Florida. Give him that. 29 electoral votes definitely are crucial to either side's political campaign. So Florida definitely could go to President Trump. Going over to Texas, net approval of only 3%. Again, that is a supposed solid GOP state, or was, not so much anymore. Moving over to that purple column. Oklahoma, 9 for President Trump, which also every single county here went for Trump back in 2016. Kansas, 3. Nebraska, surprisingly, negative 6. I mean, that is actually insane considering how Republican Nebraska is. I mean, I haven't seen a state more stereotypically Republican, center of America, farmland. Nebraska definitely characterized as a Republican state. Negative 6 for President Trump. That's not to say a Democrat would win there, but definitely not a good look for President Trump in terms of how he's doing with his base. North and South Dakota in the single digits, 2 and 3% for North and South Dakota respectively. Montana, negative 1. That could have an interesting House race there. No Senate race there. Will be contested because of Steve Bullock. Wyoming, 35 net approval rating, 18 in Idaho. Utah has actually won. He's actually been underwater in Utah before, so that may show a little bit better of a sign amongst the Mormon population, but we'll see. Negative 15 in Colorado, negative 9 in New Mexico. Actually, crazy to me that Colorado disapproves of the president more than New Mexico. Definitely did not expect that, but sometimes the numbers are really different. Negative 7 in Nevada and negative 4 in Arizona. In Arizona, interesting Senate election coming up. Martha McSally yet again on the ballot against presumably Mark Kelly, and the state might actually flip in the presidential election as well. Washington, Oregon, California, obviously big opponents of President Trump. Hawaii, Alaska is positive 9 for President Trump. So he's holding on to some of these states, but keep in mind the states that he currently is disapproved of in that he won in 2016. We can list them: Arizona, Montana, Nebraska, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, and Maine 2nd District, which isn't really polled independently here, but we can assume with a negative 14 statewide and Hillary Clinton only won by 2% statewide, there definitely is some discontent for President Trump in some other areas, but it could just be a fault of polling. But it has been pretty consistent throughout the entire administration. I think right here they might have approved. I saw a little bit right here. Negative 1 approval. I don't see a green up until we go to 2017, and even then it was within single digits. So pretty much you can pretty much see how drastically the country has moved away from President Trump over time. It is a pretty interesting map to look at because he definitely was at a low point at some point where it was barely approved of in some of these states, leading later into 2019. I don't know what happened to Kansas. It all of a sudden started negative 1, went back, and then just kept getting worse for President Trump in some of these states. So President Trump definitely needs a lot of these states that he's currently being disapproved of in. This is the last time you will see a statewide approval rating, I guess, general poll for Morning Consult for the 2019 year. And I look forward to seeing a lot of them in 2020 because approval rating will matter directly to President Trump in 2020. 2017 governor election and in Virginia, New Jersey, warning sign. 2018, huge push in favor of the Democrats in the House. But again, that happened for the Republicans in 2010. But we'll see what actually happens in this case, what would be our 2012. We have a House push, Senate being retained by the GOP, Democrats winning in the House, pretty much what we saw in 2010. We'll see if 2012 is, or in this case 2020, is a hold for President Trump or a win for the Democrats. So thank you guys for watching this video. Comment down suggestions below, and I will see you all tomorrow.